So first, trigger warning, anti-black violence. Okay. Second, this is for educational purposes only. We are here today because, Florida has new standards for their Black History curriculum. Yes. Part of the Black History curriculum is to say that the Ocoe Massacre, in that massacre, violence was perpetrated on both sides, black and white. Sounds a lot like there were good people on both sides. Okay. From what I could see of the curriculum, no context was given. Yeah, context is very, very important. It's very important, especially in this situation. So I'm here to provide the context. Yeah, let's talk about the Ocoee Massacre. Quick background. Black men got the right to vote in 1869 with the 15th Amendment. However, parts of the Compromise of 1877 said that the federal troops would be removed from the South and that the South would be able to deal with black people as they saw fit. So the federal troops were removed from the South. They were still in South Carolina, Louisiana, and Florida, and the South got to do what they wanted with black people. And they immediately started to disenfranchise black men with literacy tests, poll taxes, and grandfather clauses. On election day, black labor broker Moses Norman goes to vote. Simple thing, really. Something that we do every midterm, every 4 years for president, right? Right. Well, a white poll worker tells him that he didn't pay the poll tax. It was $1 at the time. But it wasn't just Moses that was turned away. Numerous black people were met with resistance from white community poll workers when they attempted to vote on election day. So they took their grievances to Judge John Chaney, a Republican who was running for the Senate and was actively registering black people. And the judge would even pay the poll taxes for people who were registering but could not afford the dollar. The judge was like, well, that's odd. Try again. So they would go and they would try again. Well, black people trying again just looked like a show of defiance to white people. And it attracted the attention of the local members of the Ku Klux Klan, which was a bad thing. Now, again, Norman and the other black people tried again, and they failed again. Now, Norman wasn't an idiot, and he knew what was up. And he was like, ooh, you know what? New York. It sounds like a fun place to be right about now. Yeah. And he left town before the day was over. Now, it was a smart move leaving town because that night a mob of about 100 white men were making their way to Norman's house. Yeah. Instead, they showed up at his business partner, Julie Perry's house, looking for Norman. They demanded Norman's surrender. They got no answer. So they tried to break the door down. Well, Julie Perry fired gunshots from inside his home in self-defense. This is what Florida meant by violence being perpetrated on both sides. Perry firing gunshots from his home into a mob of 100 white men who were trying to break down his door. Anyway. Now, one white man, Sam Salisbury, a white supremacist and a member of the KKK, was shot in the arm. 2 other white men were killed when they tried to enter through the back door. Now, I want to note that by the end of the evening, the 50-something-year-old Julie Perry had been lynched and strung up from a telephone post near Judge Cheney's home. Remember, Judge Cheney had been the one helping registering black people, paying their poll tax, and he's the one who told them to try again. The mob of 100, well, now that they were done at Julie Perry's house, they get reinforcements and they become a mob of about 250, and they destroy the black community. The white paramilitary forces surrounded the northern Ocoe black community and laid siege to it. They set fire to rows of black houses. Those inside were forced to flee, and many were shot by whites. Every black church, schoolhouse, and lodge was burned down. Black residents fought back in an evening-long gunfight lasting until as late as 4:45 a.m. Their firearms later found in the ruins after the massacre ended. Again, black residents fighting back to save their lives. Violence was perpetrated on both sides. Black residents fighting back to save their lives. Got it. Black residents were driven into the nearby orange groves and swamps, forced to retreat until they were driven out of town. The number of black residents unalived in the attack remains unknown, but several contemporary observers place the death toll at between 30 to 35. Afterwards, black people who were not direct victims of the massacre were driven out of town. Yeah. About 500 black people in total were rapidly driven out of Ocoe, resulting in its population being nearly all white. It became a sundown town. No black resident settled there again until 61 years later in 1981. I was 9 years old.